So it was a bottle of Scotch, single malt Scotch, and two vice presidents coming over to my house. And they came over one day with that bottle of Scotch. We sat outside at the fire pit and they said, look, you got to come back. This is what's going on. There's this new database called Anna. You got to go with it. So we literally sat there till 3:00 in the morning, drank that entire bottle of Scotch between us. And I literally was calling people in Germany. Can I get to see this? Can I come over? Can I do this? Can I do that? And when I came back, I want to say I was a little bit of a changed executive. I used to do a lot more. I used to be coding at night. I used to be more with my staff. Now I've taken a little bit of a step back and given more responsibility to management that I've hired and let them succeed and move the company forward. I've become more of that figurehead and I do more speaking. I talk about my books and give away books. And I'm the guy that come in, if you're familiar with baseball, I'm the closer.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to The Business Game, a podcast that moves the needle. Hey guys, before we jump into today's episode, we just wanted to take a really quick moment to thank one of our sponsors, Tala Offshore. For any businesses wanting to maximize their return on new hires, Tala offers seamless access to top-tier Filipino talent who are real employees hand-selected by the Tala team, slashing your staffing costs by up to 60% with onboarding in under a week. Visit talaoffshore.com to scale smarter, and thanks again to Tala for supporting The Business Game. I'm Jazmyn and I'm here with my co-host Dan, and today we are joined by Chris Carter from Approyo. Hi Chris.
Hi guys, great to see you.
Thanks so much for joining us. So let's just get right into, could you let our listeners know who you are and what you do?
You got it. I'm very fortunate. I started a couple of technology companies in my career, and I'm the founder of Approyo and Mugatu AI. We do cloud computing and AI technologies wrapped around for enterprise grade companies. So much larger companies like Molson Coors and Budweiser's and different organizations like that who literally run from probably $2 billion and below. And they have a full SAP landscape and cloud-based landscape. We provide them services in cloud and a lot of AI activity.
So no pressure.
The big buzzword these days.
No worries. So SAP, that's your specialization?
It is. SAP, I started in 1989, before both of you were born.
Wow.
But I was in college at Georgia Tech, and I fell into it at Coca-Cola, of all places, was next door to our campus. I got an internship, and lo and behold, they threw me on their SAP system, and I never left.
Incredible. You've been called one of the top 10 SAP experts in the world. That's quite a claim.
Oh, please. Oh, bring me more. No. Yes, I'm very fortunate. I created one of the first SAP clouds many years ago. We received one of the first SAP startup focused program sponsorships from Dr. Plattner, who created SAP. So I've been very blessed. I've got great people around me. It's not me. I am just a pretty face, as I tell my wife all the time. It is really my people. They care. And that's what I'm really proudest of, is the fact that my staff cares about everybody. And they put that hard effort in.
So Chris, I've always kind of specialized in the SMB kind of segment, smaller to medium-sized businesses. So this type of software, this type of cloud-based software for big business, I assume, is kind of new to me, a little bit new to me. Can you explain how it's different, how it's more evolved, how it's been customized for big business?
Oh, you bet. And actually, the SMB market is perfect for SAP software.
Okay.
What we do is we literally, for companies that I've got a client that's $20 million in revenue. That is right there. That is an SMB client all day long. And they use it to run their HR, run their financials, their payrolls, their warehouse. This company actually is in the oil and gas field in North Texas, and they use it to run everything in their business. And it's perfect for SMBs all the way up to those multi-billion-dollar companies, because it puts everything together in one nice, neat, clean package. And that's a great thing for anybody. You don't have to have 10 different systems that you're trying to log into. And it just It makes things seamless, and it's just a wonderful day at the office.
Well, that's exactly what I'm used to, is all these different systems. There's so many different cloud apps available now. You have your CRM, you have your accounting software, you have your sales pipeline through your CRM, if you want to keep that separate or not, then your marketing systems. It's ridiculous sometimes. I guess that creates concerns for security. So how does security, is it better security with the SAP? Can you elaborate?
Well, I used to say yes, Dan. I used to say yes. But unfortunately, over the course of probably the last 4 months, we've been getting a security notification almost every day from SAP. They're going back and they're cleaning that up, which is great. The one thing that I'd say is having everything together rather than having, let's say, 5 or 6 systems, a Workday, a ServiceNow, an Oracle database, or whatever CRM you have, Salesforce or so. This way, you're not having multiple logins and you're not having multiple API calls. You're one system inside one system of truth. So you have one database rather than possibly 5 databases.
Yep.
Much less capability of somebody to hack. And that's a safe thing for everybody.
So I suppose we know the practical application is applicable to all kinds of businesses, but one thing that I think might look quite different is your day in the life as the CEO of a pretty massive company. Can you sort of walk us through, obviously you didn't start that way, walk us through what looks different in your life day to day now than it did maybe 20 years ago?
Oh, well, first thing is easy. Now I actually get up every morning and I have coffee with my wife of 26 years. And we sit down because I literally, a year and a half ago, we moved to a new location up by our lake house. And so we look out and I watch the eagle fly into the lake and grab its breakfast while I'm having coffee. But really, from a technology standpoint, I, as the CEO, I've got to show the vision. I've got to talk about the new activities, the new economy, the new AI, what's going on. So I've got my Google feeds that are going through that I read what's going on in the world. I'm constantly having meetings. I literally have 17 books that I've published now.
Wow.
4 of them as bestsellers, Hoi Polloi, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, that's a movie reference for Caddyshack in case anybody was wondering. And I go around the world and I talk about, and I try to give knowledge. I'm not trying to sell anybody anymore. I want them to understand the power of SAP, the power of cloud, the power of AI, and what it can really do and why it's there. I tell individuals, and I was just at a conference in New York, AI and these systems are not going to take away your jobs. They're simply going to make you a better person doing your job better. And that is such a beautiful thing. It's there to help. And if you so want to leave the company and go somewhere else because you've learned that knowledge, now you're going to take that somewhere else and you continue to grow that activity in another organization. And to me, I think that knowledge is powerful and that's wonderful for folks.
Absolutely. So you're able to kind of change the time of your day to being able to just focus on sharing what you've learned over all these years. But I'm also just wondering, how much time now do you allocate to spending actual one-on-one time with your team members?
Quite a bit, actually. That's a great point. With the beautiful thing of Teams, we've got this meeting going on at 7:00 p.m. where I am here now. And literally in another half an hour, I'm going to join a conference call with my staff in India. And then tomorrow morning when I wake up, I usually get up between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. I'll talk to my team in Europe, and then I'll talk to my team later on in the day in Brazil. And I continuously talk throughout the day. I don't sit and talk with everybody, of course, but there are key executives. And then there are projects that I'm in love with, that I will literally pick up my team's call and be, all of a sudden they'll see, oh my God, it's the CEO of the company. What does he want? I'm that guy that goes, okay, tell me about what you're doing. What code are you writing? What are you doing from your code generator? How are you doing this? Who are you talking? And I'm that guy. I still act like a kid in a candy store sometimes. And I hope they appreciate that I'm that involved. And I hope they know that I'm not there to look over their shoulder and critique them. but I do want to see what's going on and if they're enjoying it as well.
That's great. Yeah, it's incredible to hear that you still have that amount of passion this far into the journey.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
You touched on productivity and what AI means for productivity. How does AI work into SAP?
Oh gosh, very well. SAP has their own AI tool called Juul, which allows us to be able to automate many, many processes within the day-to-day life of individuals using the system. We also have tools that integrate with that so we can help them migrate to the new S4 Business Suite. And the power of AI inside of SAP means that an employee, say, let's just take finance, for example. Well, actually, I'm going to take HR this time. Let's take HR.
Sure.
We can decide, Dan can log in and say, hey, I want to know how many vacation days I have yet because I want to come over to Oconomowoc and I want to see an old high school. Oh, literally, you just go into the chat and it will tell you everything that's going on, how many days you have left or how many hours. And you can then register for vacation. I'm taking this time period off. And management or the individuals who set up your HR have already set up, oh, I'm so sorry, have already set up inside the environment that you can only take off if this person, and this person have not taken off, or if there is 2 people gone. And it will set up all those automations for you. So then that way you can come over to this side of the continent and enjoy some time at Carter's Pub.
Yeah. Oh, sounds awesome. And at what point do you think a small business or medium-sized business should look at changing from all the different fragmented systems to SAP?
So I would make it 2 points. One, when you start getting to that point in your organization where you're getting too many disparate systems that are coming out. And when I say disparate, like we were talking about earlier, you've got your CRM, you got your finance and HR. You've got too many systems rather than just one center of truth. And I always talk about that center of truth because it comes from a main database and now everything comes in and out of that database.
Sure.
Secondarily, when you start hitting certain milestones within your organization from a financials and people entity, you're going to want to consolidate down because when you start buying licenses for, let's just say 5 to 7 different systems, it can get pretty expensive if
Definitely.
you're going 20 here and 30 and all of a sudden you're not using them. That becomes a waste and you can really consolidate that down. And then you've got the 2 activities from an SAP standpoint that really lock you in.
I'm an accountant. I'm working on integrations between point of sale software and accounting software. Sometimes it's a headache and it's causing major issues. And how do you overcome any of those issues? How do you plan it to make that move and implement SAP?
Well, you got to plan. I always say plan. You start with big assessments. You go through the assessment phases. And you look at some of the tools from an AI perspective, what you can and can't do. POS systems in a retail-based environment, those can be very sticky and very transactional activities that you really have to be careful of. We work with a couple of retail organizations that the POS systems funnel into some VWs or Bob J systems, and it's collecting data and bringing it back. But you've got to really make sure you're testing, especially as you're migrating up to the new environments. There's a lot of touch points that have been cleared away now. And there's the direct connect activities and it's integrated into the core. But then you have your third-party systems that you have to API to. Yeah. So it does make it a little bit more difficult. So as an accountant, I can't believe that I'm the only one here with no hair. Because if I was an accountant, I'd be pulling my hair out.
There's got a bit of a bald patch at the back there. Yeah.
Way to hide it.
Well, it's been an interesting change of events for me because I'm a typical, tax accountant moving to API integration. And I realized that software developers in India don't know accounting.
Isn't that the truth? Oh my
Especially
Lord.
Australian accounting for some reason. Yeah.
You've obviously had a lot of success, but I'm wondering if we can get a little bit vulnerable and talk about maybe something within the past 12 months that has been a really striking pain point for you, obviously leading into how you solved that, but you personally within your operations, what's been something that you've had to grapple with?
So I'm going to get a little deep and a little emotional here. Just over a little 12 months ago, my mother passed away. And I took time away from this business. It's something I don't do that often. The business was able to survive without me, thank God. I stepped away, and I think every executive that I talked to since then, it's been since February, I talked to them and said, you know what, if that business can't run without you, is it really a business? And we've got 173 staff members around the globe. And I'm very, very fortunate with those individuals. But yet, and when I came back, I want to say I was a little bit of a changed executive. I used to do a lot more. I used to be coding at night. I used to do more with my staff. Now I've taken a little bit of a step back and given more responsibility to management that I've hired and let them succeed and move the company forward, where I've become more of that figurehead and I do more speaking. I talk about my books and I give away books. And I'm the guy that come in, if familiar with baseball, I'm the closer. I come in with my books. I talk about sports. I talk about SAP. And as you evolve in a career, I'm now 56. I've been doing this since 1989, not exactly for Royo, but since 1989. And individuals, no matter male, female, if you're upper chain, lower chain in the business, take a look at what's important to you and take a look at what's important to your family, to your business, and kind of take a step back. And that made me have to take a step back because I was gone for over a month. I had to help my father up north. I had to deal with the passing and everything. And that from a business perspective really changed me because now I really care about my staff. I'm really looking at their families. I'm really talking about customers. I literally have gone through in the last year, I've got documents, every one of my staff members' children, their significant other, my customers who I integrate with, who their family members are, how old they are, what colleges they go to. I just sent a little Dunkin' Donuts gift card to one of my staff members. His son at University of Alabama. So it's little things like that have changed me a little bit and made me open up my eyes from a business, more empathy, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I can imagine for a lot of founders who haven't maybe been through experiencing a personal loss yet while being sort of at a really busy peak stage of their career, the prospect of that could seem quite frightening because you kind of don't know how you're going to respond, how much time you're going to have to take off, how to factor grief into your workload going forward. And I really haven't heard anybody speak about that. So is there any sort of I suppose advice you could give to prepare for? I know it's a grim topic, but navigating it.
It's interesting you make that comment. I'm talking with my chief operating officer right now. His mother had a stroke 2 days ago. And I gave him all the advice. I said, be with your family. Take time with your family. Let's offload whatever projects and whatever activities you're doing now. Let's give them to these individuals. We'll talk to customers. We'll talk to whoever we need to talk to. Everybody will understand. It's funny. You think as an executive, oh, people aren't going to understand. They need to have me there, blah, blah, blah. No, they care. They go through these things as well. So I told him, I don't want to hear from you. You're in Seattle. I'm in Wisconsin. I'm going to call or I'm going to text you once a day to see how your mom's stroke is doing, what they're doing with her. Are they putting her in a rehab? Are they doing surgery? I will ask you those questions, but I will not talk business with you. And so you both are much younger than I am. Hopefully you don't have to deal with that anytime soon. But in the back of your mind, think about it and think about how they love you as parents. You love them as your children. And at the end of the day, your customers care enough about you as either a customer or as a partner to know that there's love and there's care, and they'll have the empathy for you as well.
That's great insight.
Yeah, I think it's great that you've identified that the people in your organization is the company. It's the business. It's what keeps everything going.
People are our business. no matter if it's our staff or if it's the people that we integrate with from a partnership or from a customer standpoint. It's people. And you gotta care about them because they're going to care about you hopefully as well. And if they don't, well, then maybe it's the wrong partner, staff member, or customer.
So, what was the spark that led to Approyo in 2011, I think it was?
So it was a bottle of Scotch, single malt Scotch, and two vice presidents coming over to my house. I had pseudo retired. I had sold one company that was an SAP, and unfortunately, I had to fold up a second one. And they came over about a year into me doing consulting work for a startup company out of New York. And they came over one day with that bottle of Scotch. We sat outside at the fire pit, and they said, "Look, you got to come back. This is what's going on. There's this new database called HANA. You got to go with it." So we literally sat there till 3:00 in the morning, drank that entire bottle of Scotch between us. And I literally was calling people in Germany. Can I get to see this? Can I come over? Can I do this? Can I do that? So finally it got to one of the executives that I've known since the 1980s. And he said, "If you want to come see it, come on over to Waldorf." I literally bought an airline ticket that night to get me on a plane in Chicago in 2 days, got on a plane in 2 days, flew over to Waldorf, saw everything, flew all the way back cross country, did not even stop at home, went to Palo Alto, California, met with part of the team in Palo Alto because they have the SAP labs there, met with them for another 2 days. Then I ran out of clean clothing. So I went back home and I told my wife, "I've got an idea. I've got a company. I know what I'm going to do." I immediately had sent some information while we were around for the new startup focus program. And we were blessed that Hasso said, "Yes, give it to Chris. We know that his power." The team was there in Germany and everything started from there.
Yeah, well, okay.
I was very blessed. I am really, really blessed. I've been able to make some great friends in this ecosystem since the 1980s and worked with some great people. So
I can see why you've written so many books.
Oh gosh. Thank God they're small books, Jazz. Thank God they're small. I can't keep my attention span much longer than 100 pages.
So 4 Amazon bestsellers, is that right?
4 times.
Wow. Can you
Oh,
speak?
my children still give me crap, and my wife still makes me take out the garbage. So don't go out too much yet.
Your most recent book, can you tell us about that?
Sure. The latest one is I talk to people about LLMs versus SLMs, large language models versus small language models. I'm a huge fan of small language models. I think NVIDIA and NVIDIA chips and everything is great. But when I talk to companies, they're not going outside of the greater world. They're going from one database of truth. So I look at it that I need small language models to be able to go deep into my own data. I don't need data from Dan's company or from your company to go through it. I specifically need and want only mine. And so to me, that's small language. I dig into the deeper, the little nuggets of gold that I would find when I'm in a stream in California or whatever. That's what I want. I don't want to be Microsoft, or I don't want to be Amazon or any of those where they need the large language models, ChatGPT and all those, to be able to farm the universe. I only need it on that one database. And so that's why I love that. And that one just got launched 2 weeks ago about LLMs versus SLMs. Thank you.
Amazing. Now, tell us a little bit SAP with the S for HANA.
Yes.
I know of one government organization in Australia that had a hell of a time, many difficulties rolling it out and migrating to it. So I guess it's kind of like a 2-part question: is how do you roll over efficiently and plan for it properly? And also, what's the biggest misconception about for HANA?
So how do you roll it out efficiently and effectively? First of all, you got to find the right SI. Not every one of the SIs are good. And the problem is too many times, and I'm going to take off the glasses for this, too many times they look for low cost and speed You can't do low cost. You cannot do this in a very fast manner. There's too much data. And that comes down to then the efficiency. Companies start to do these and they start to promise the world. You cannot do that. Right now, we're finding that over 72% of all of migrations to S/4HANA are behind schedule and over budget. They're saying that both of them, over budget and over on their time span. It's because, unfortunately, there's so many factors that are going on in there that there's not enough prep, there's not enough people. Timeline from Germany, you've got people who take 6-week vacations in the middle of summer. They take 3-week vacations at the end of the year. You've got a lot of different factors there. Second of all, from an S4 perspective, the fact that it is only in a cloud, so you're doing the core in the cloud, and you're moving a lot of data in that direction. You still have to clean that data. Companies have, I'm dealing with a company that's got petabytes of data, old EDI data. That's all got to be cleaned. You've got to go through that and do a cleansing exercise. And if you don't do that cleansing exercise up front, you're going to stall your project. You're then going to have to clean that database and get more. But at the end of the day, I highly recommend organizations start with an SI that's going to be truthful with them. And as an SI, we always are truthful. There's been companies I've walked away from, lock, stock, and barrel. And I've just said, you know what? Unfortunately, we're not your partner. We're not going to do it in that timeline. We're not going to do it for that price point. And at the end of the day, you're not going to be happy. And I'm not going to hurt my people or my reputation so you can think. And as a matter of fact, one of them came back 6 months later and said, we were so wrong. Oh my God, who we picked and the cost structure. We've shut down the program. We're starting to evaluate. I said, well, I'm willing to talk, but you know what my baseline is what I gave you 6 months ago. That's my starting point. And we'll have conversations. So anybody that's in Australia that needs a really good SI and a truthful SI, I'll give you an autographed book at the end of our conversation if you don't like me. But
sounds good.
I'm willing to come over and talk. I've got my visa for Australia.
Lovely. No, it's a case of rubbish in, rubbish out with the data, isn't it? Especially big data.
Yes, thank you for saying that. Oh my God, I say that all the time. But I literally say the S word, poopy in and poopy out, using the S. I won't say that because there's a nice lady, two ladies present, as a matter of fact, and a Dan.
Yeah, and me, yeah. No, yeah. no, that's amazing because now with the team, when they get involved in those type of projects, is it a lot of manual, just manual work, going through, piece by piece, data by data, or is it you trying to implement? No, okay.
We use AI. We use AI and go through the databases. And you go through and we'll find different, like with the EDI transactions we just had to do. We had to modify and we went through with a tool called Overwatch. We also have another tool we use called FlowGen. And we use those tools interactively to make sure that we can go in there and grab the right information, put information into a blob storage so we can move around. We can move petabytes, terabytes of data and get that out of the way. And so those tools allow us to be much faster with understanding what is there and what's not there. And then being able to, we do have to do some manual processes. It's inevitable. It's technology. But we start with that AI-based format, and then we see, you got to have eyes on it. I always say you got to have a pair of eyes on everything that you're doing. Monitor what AI is doing because it's not always right. And as you go through that process, boom, you go from there.
Hey guys, just wanted to do a quick shout out to our affiliate partner, OpusClip. If you need great video edits without hiring an editor, their AI engine turns your raw clips into share-ready content in under a minute, no skill required. Find our link in the description to support our show and get a great sign-up bonus. Create more, stress less with OpusClip.
Now, I imagine these are massive projects that you're working on, and especially with migration.
Yes, sir.
How do you project manage your team? How do you get them involved and give everyone clear instructions on what their responsibilities are and what their roles are in this particular project or migration or?
we've got great project managers. I've got project managers in the UK, in India, Brazil, the United States. We have some formats that we utilize from an SAP program management standpoint. The old SAP for me activities. And we hire specific people who are project managers. I don't want them to be technologists per se. I want them to have gone through project management, because at the end of the day, project managers got to be the one that puts the stake in the ground and says, no, you cannot do that. We did not agree to that. That's not part of the timeline. These are not processes that we're going to do that. And for us, when you look at the people, the performance, and the processes, those 3 Ps, literally every project has to have. And so they must know who their people are and they can rely on. They need to know the performance of those people and of the systems, and they need to know the processes that they're going to be moving and evaluating and supporting. Anything above and beyond that, different animal. They need to say no. They need to run it properly. They need to keep the customer, the staff, the SIs, everybody needs to be kept accountable. And that's what a good PM does. And so we have to have those people. And we've got some, pardon my language, we've got some ball breakers. They will literally, no, don't.
Shut it down. Yep.
Oh, hey.
And
They
how
chopped off
about,
some-
how about tools and software that you use to communicate with worldwide staff members?
Well, it's great. We've got things like Teams, we've got Zooms, we've got Slack. We use all of those tools on a continuous basis. They're secured tools. So if we're working on a project that is ITAR compliant or HIPAA compliant or any of those, we know that our security background and that they're running on our systems. We know that they're secured, so we can run any data that we need to around those systems. And it's wonderful because people know how to use Slack and Teams and the Microsoft projects and the Google projects. So it works out very nicely.
Thanks very much to the COVID lockdown. Everyone knows how to use the Zoom and
Gosh. Yeah.
Crash course.
yeah, it's been a bit of a
we
change.
did.
So I guess on the back of speaking about Slack and Teams, these are things we're all familiar with, but I, for one, am not familiar yet with being featured in Forbes and Entrepreneur and on Newsmax, like someone else in this room. How do you manage
through the internet? You're an SLM. You're your own SLM. You were looking for those little golden nuggets, and you found some.
You must have a lot of visibility within your circles. How do you manage that? Is that something you're naturally geared toward, or did you have to learn?
Oh, I had to learn. I was very much an introvert when I first went to school. I played baseball and I loved computers. When I left for school, I left with what was back then a Commodore VIC-20 and an Apple IIe. And I wanted to play on computers. I learned how to make a little bird fly across my screen one day by writing code. I thought that was so cool. I got in trouble one time because my girlfriend gave me a music tape. Way back in the 80s, girls and boys would make mixtapes. We would record the radio stations. We would put it on a cassette tape and we would play it in our cars or in our Walkmans back then. Well, I would take them and I would listen to them. But if I needed a tape to store my code on, I would put it in the tape player that I used for my code and I would use it and I would give it to one of my buddies. They'd be like, hey, I like your girlfriend's songs, but this code, you're missing this, this, and this. And I'm like, oh God, she's going to kill me. So yes, I started out way back then doing that, but I was a typical introvert. And then it just so happened that I started interacting with people. I joined a fraternity. I learned what alcohol was in college. And I started having fun and just life was too short. And I decided, why not talk to people? And I started taking some classes on speaking. I go to comedy clubs now, and I've been doing this for years, and I tell jokes. I love telling clean and sometimes dirty jokes. Depends on what crowd I'm in for that night. And I talk. It's funny, my daughters hate me because I literally have built full 10-minute shows around my daughters, and they hate it. And they'll have friends that'll be there. If I'm an opening act or something in Wisconsin, they hate that. So I become that extrovert. And look at me now. My hands are all over the place. I don't know where to put them anymore. So I talk and chit chat, and I love to meet people. So I love to talk with people, find out who they are and what they do.
Do you think that there's any sort of room to reach the success that you have without being someone who is interested in connecting with people?
Oh, you've got to connect with people because you learn so much from each other. Like, I learned about Dan had somebody in high school who's literally an hour away from me right here in Wisconsin, in Australia for school. I would never have known that. So I learned he knows how to say one of the cities in my state.
Say it again. Go
I
on.
ain't better say it again. Nah.
Are you going to do it again, Dan?
I was going to say, hang on. What's it? I can't remember the name of it. Oconomowoc?
Pretty close. You were better the first time.
Yeah.
Oconomowoc.
Yeah.
Yes. And so it's when you put yourself out there to even say, hi, I'm Chris. Nice to meet you, Dan. Where are you from? Those types of things, it starts a conversation. You don't have to just walk around looking at walls, but you do have to put yourself out there a little bit. And instead of hiding behind a computer or hiding behind social media or texting and Instagrams and all that stuff, real conversations. That's why it's so important. You've got these meetups that are out there now. You've got events that go out there. You've got SAP, Microsoft, Oracle, whatever tech or whatever you're interested in. It could be, hey, I'm interested in fashion. Des, I love your jacket. Is that a Prada jacket? Is that a Louis Vuitton?
I'm not quite on the Prada budget yet, but let's pretend it is.
Well, you know what? You make that look good, girl. You should be on a catwalk somewhere. See, look. And just from that conversation, you're smiling. Look at your cheeks are brighter. People want to interact with people who speak nice things, have good conversations. And one of the things I tell our younger people, I actually put them through a little bit of a class with, you're not allowed to say, you're not allowed to say, yeah, you're not allowed to say, give me a second, because by the time you said that second, your time is up. Give me a moment. Never say, never say, yeah, and engage with somebody. Find a feature on that individual or something that you're talking about. I picked out your blazer. I love the browns. I think that's great. And look at you. You're smiling from ear to ear. You're a beautiful young lady. Don't worry, I'm married, as I said. You're a beautiful young lady, very intelligent through this meeting. But people need to put themselves out there in the real world conversing. Now, some people, it's harder. Walking into a bar or a restaurant where there's an event going on and just all of a sudden willy-nilly picking up and saying hi to people. We're still in a world where people, it's not bullying, but they're like, I don't know who this, well, okay, here's who I am. Hi, I'm Chris Carter. And just so happens I do technology. And that's how I approach people. I don't ever come up to them and say, hi, I'm a 4-time author and I own companies and I do this.
Stand-up
just,
comedian.
What do you do? Try to get them to speak. Yeah, so it's fun.
Do you think that's one of the keys to scaling your business?
Oh, absolutely. Because I'll walk into a room. I don't care if you're Bill Gates or if you're you, me, and the guy who's cleaning out the garbages. I will have a conversation with anybody. I don't think anybody is above me or below me. To me, on this planet, everybody is the same. We're all human beings made by God. And I want to have conversation because everybody's got something that is really cool that they've done in their life, really sad that they've done in their life, and really going to be something that they want to go forward with in their life. And I try to get those out of people in little bits and drips. Doesn't have to be all at one time, but it's I think that's important for everybody.
Perfect. Any other advice for scaling your business? More on the technical side of things, on the software side of things?
I'll give up something that I wish I would have done earlier. Hire quality people to take things that you are not good at off your plate. I really wish I would have done some of that a little bit earlier in my career, maybe in one of my first companies. I ended up doing it all, brought it all in. I didn't give them the means to do those things. And so it was one of those things where I really wish that would have happened. That's a key thing. do that, and it will free up more of your time to do the things that you love. If you love sales, if you love marketing, if you love being on TikTok and Twitter and making videos, or being on Newsmax TV, or being in Forbes, it gives you more time to free up to do those things, or write books. So do that. Technology wise, always be learning. Learn something new. 5 years ago, I picked up the book that started talking about artificial intelligence. And we were talking about some of that back in the 1990s. And I started reading more about it. I'm like, oh, all they did is they put more compute together. Okay, great. Let's see what they're doing. And 5 years ago, I was playing on an open source chat GPT before it even became general GA. And always be learning. You're never going to stop learning. I'm taking a course right now in regards to some SLMs that I love doing SLMs, but I don't know everything about it yet. So I'm learning that.
So I suppose, what about more specifically? Is there a year that you can think back to where your revenue jumped so significantly that you've sort of not been able to repeat that? But what was it about that particular year, or what you were participating in?
So the year before COVID, we hit some great financial numbers. We blew out our numbers. We got some great customers. We were doing things. And then all of a sudden, we were all wearing masks and we were all at home. And customers were not doing anything. We all had to change how we did business. We all had to change how we worked, how we interacted. And so that kind of it took us from a high and it took us down. And then now we're battling back with that, because now we're going back to the customers, we're going back to new customers, and we're going through an upgrade cycle. So one day you'll be at the highest of highs, and the next day you could be at the lowest of lows. But it's this too shall pass. It's a phrase that I got off of anybody called Tom Hanks. He's an actor here in the United States. Everybody knows him from the volleyball and
Wilson.
all those things. Yes, Wilson. Thank you. And it literally is, this too shall pass. No matter if it's great or if it's cruddy, if it's mediocre, this too shall pass. If you're having a bad day, you're going to have a next day.
Staying somewhat neutral in those peak periods, but I suppose also,
Enjoying them.
yes, enjoying them. Do you recall sort of any moment where you realized that you were sort of hitting one of those peaks, and what choice in innovation you might have made on the back of that?
Oh, well, I went out and I bought a Rolex.
An investment, yeah.
I bought an investment, exactly. It was literally the first year we made $1 million in revenue. I always said if I got $1 million in revenue, I was going to buy myself a Rolex. Because you see these guys and gals wearing them, and they hit things, and I thought, okay, well, that's the one thing that I want. I've never bought a Ferrari. I've never bought a Bentley. I do have Tahoe, but I literally, that was my one thing that I wanted to always get, and I've had it. This has been in my possession now since 2003 with my first company when we did that, and it's something that reminds me of hard work, dedication, always striving to do better, better, and better. Because I would sleep at night. I had my office in my attic at my first home with my wife, and I completely built that up. And there's actually an article somewhere out on the universe about how we were a U.S.-based company with U.S.-based resources doing it for offshore rates. And we just kept growing, growing, growing. And that was my one, even though you're supposed to be like this, I took that spike and I said, that's it.
Yeah, I think it's important to mark those milestones. I've always been a big believer in that.
Yes. Oh, yes, I do that for my children yet. I do that for staff members. We give them little things if they've been there for a long enough period of time.
Rolexes.
Yeah. Well, I haven't done any Rolexes for any of the staff yet.
So where is SAP going in the next 5 years? What do you think the future entails?
SAP is in the largest upgrade cycle in its history. It is booming right now. Their stock is up quite drastically. The ecosystem is expanding. We as partners, we're expanding. It is literally the number one upgrade cycle in our history, and it is not going to stop. Even though we're supposed to have these systems done by 2027, we've got so many we have to do. It is just boom, boom, boom. It is crazy.
With the future of SAP, I think there's more to come. And actually, what I will ask you to do is explain what SAP is to the people who don't know. Like, it's a company based in Germany, I believe, and it's on the
Yes.
on the German stock exchange, I
Yes.
believe.
Waldorf, Germany. Yes, sir.
So, where did they start from? How did they start off?
Oh, it's a wonderful story. They had these individual men, and apologize, Jez, but they were all men at IBM, and they knew that there was something better to be able to take all these disparate systems and to create one system. And so, started by Dr. Plattner and the team, and they went off and they created a company called SAP, Statistical Analytical Processing, SAP, and it is out of Waldorf, Germany. Started with those guys, and they ended up bringing in some additional coders. It was on an old mainframe-based system back in. So we're talking old reel-to-reels, old punch cards, old hardware,
Old
old
school.
green screens, like your 3 green screens behind you. And that's where they started from. And they started selling really well in Germany. And because everything was together in one nice, neat, clean database, they were using old DB2s, they were using Max DBs, they were using old SQLs, and everything as they were starting to come in Oracle. Everything would be off of one platform of one record. Well, it started to expand, and all of a sudden it was coming to the United States, it was Australia, it was coming to Asia and Europe. It just blew up. And then all of a sudden the 1990s called, and we had these things called personal laptops, personal desktops. Well, they had to change, and they really had to rewrite the entire system to go from mainframe technology to x86. And so they hired more people, and they built the system called R3. And that R3 system literally exploded. And to the point where right now, today, 87.6% of all, and I'm going to stress the word, all financial transactions in the world run through an SAP system in one way, shape, or form.
Incredible.
All the banks, all the credit card companies, all the processing companies, 87.9 or 87.3, something like that, runs through an SAP system of somebody's company. And then most of the time it's multiples, because if you do a credit card transaction at American Express, they have SAP. That goes to the processing company of, let's say, Bank of America or Goldman Sachs. They have their SAP system. And then the transaction goes to the final. You got retail stores that you're scanning those at a POS system. Most of the retail stores out there have it in some way, shape, or form. Prada's and Louis Vuitton's and all of them, they have their own system. So when you swipe your credit card there, it's incredible how big they grew so quickly. And now it's all cloud-based, it's all being moved. And so SAP went from being a small startup with 5 guys to all of a sudden this global behemoth that takes care of all of the world's transactions. And look at the government entities. You're in Australia, you've got so many government entities running SAP. And then we have the United States government runs on SAP, our military runs on SAP, multiple states run on SAP, almost all of them. And of the Fortune 500 companies out there, only 2 do not have some shape or form of an SAP environment.
It's incredible.
Only 2 of the Fortune 500. It's crazy.
So, Approyo, do you have a specialty? Like, is there your perfect client? What do you call your perfect client?
So our perfect client is somebody that wants us to do the technical side, do the migrations, the management, the support, the selling of the license, to the building of their infrastructure and managing their infrastructure, running and building their SAP from a technical side, not a functional side, and then being able to go forward on that activity from a long-term perspective. So any company running SAP that needs a migration is going to need us technically. They're going to need some type of a cloud. So typically Azure, or you can even do Dell because you can do this customer data center. And so that technical side of it, we run SAP X. That's our take. When you want somebody that's going to do excellent work, be efficient in our time, and be cost effective for you, that's us as an organization. But I'm going to tell you right now, any company that talks this or watching this, as you listen to this, we are going to be brutally honest with you. We're going to tell you exactly. We know where the bodies are buried in your environment because we see all those Z codes. So, and all those changes that you made. But we're honest with people about that, and we need to be.
Okay. Talking about burying bodies, I just had,
what happened? What did I miss in the world today?
I had the thought that, with so much experience behind you, you must have come up against some pretty high stakes competition along the way. I wondered if you had any sort of stories you could share without obviously getting your name put on a list of any sort of competitor that you've,
Oh, there we go. I know. Ooh, it scared me. I was looking to see if I could help. So there are competition. I'll be very honest. There are some folks that are out there that they will say anything, do anything. There's also these companies that are out there that are saying, you don't have to worry about upgrading your system or migrating until 2040. We'll take care of all that management and we'll take care of all that support for you. There's literally two of them that are out there right now that constantly are saying, oh, don't worry about these upgrades. Then you're losing the innovation. You've lost all innovation. You cannot do things that 75, 80% of the world is going to be able to do because you're part of that 5% that's going off and working with a company that says, we'll manage it for you. Don't worry. You have until 2040 and then you'll deal with it. Well, then they also come back and they have to up their licenses again and they got to do everything else. I'd rather be upfront with a company and say, look, this is going to be painful. It's a full business transformation. It's just not a technology. It's about your business transformation. It's going to be painful. You're going to have people that are probably going to quit or don't want to be a part of it. You're going to have knowledge that's going to get lost. But at the end, when you come back and this is finished in 8 to 24 months, depending upon the organization, you're going to have a much better, stronger, streamlined SAP, and your staff is going to be so much better for you that it's going to revolutionize what you're doing in your industry because you're now part of the top of your industry. I can't lie to you, folks. It's going to be painful. It's going to be costly. It's going to take time. Suck it up and you're going to have to do it, unfortunately.
It's interesting that your competition might be companies that are kind of trying to give an inferior product, and that's your competition.
It really is. They give an inferior product, as well as you've got them the other side of it who not only give an inferior product, but tell them, oh, we'll do this in 6 months and it'll cost half the price. Don't worry about it. We got this for you. Okay, well, you don't even know the size of the database and how clean it is and how many Z codes. And you're telling them right off the bat that it's going to take only 6 months. You're just, I can't lie to folks. You got to be upfront. You got to be honest. And if you can't be honest, well, maybe you shouldn't be doing this.
Do you think generally, sort of across the broad tech industry in the very large umbrella that it is, does price point at this point in time tend to really reflect quality, or is it the same as many other industries where there's a lot of variation?
Right now, if you're coming in and you're just talking about prices, I don't even know about your quality at this point in time. There are so many things that are going on from we tend to be pretty much right in the middle of, you've got some larger SIs, PWCs, the EYs, the KPMGs, they're way up. We tend to be in the middle. And then you've got the India companies and the South India companies and other Latin America companies, and they tend to be lower cost point. Now, I know really great people out of Brazil, and we've hired them. We've got people in our Brazilian team that I've taken from other companies, and they were low labor. Then I've got people in India that I have brought on board to our organization that were part of some of them because they were the quality nugget in there as well. I'm very selective. And so I keep my price point at a point where it's helpful to us to continue to grow as a business. I run our company as if we're a publicly traded company, even though we're not. I want good profitability. I want good margin. I want good activities going on. And I want my customer to benefit, not to feel like they got robbed in a street corner somewhere on a dark night by a lamp. So
Just
if they
touching
feel that
on
way, I'll give them a Rolex.
just touching on the offshore workers.
Yeah.
Do you prefer to partner with companies overseas, or would you or you try to engage individuals?
So in other parts of the world, like in Dubai and Australia and stuff, we do have partners. I do have my own entity in India. It's Approyo Private Limited. And we have staff there that we hire based upon the training. Up above us, 2 floors up, is the Microsoft and the SAP training facilities. And so we literally will get the best out of there as quickly as we can, bring them down 2 floors and work with them for projects. So it really depends on the region of the world, and it also depends on the project that we need, if we need somebody or if we can hire that person or if we have them in a region.
Fantastic. And what does the future hold for Approyo at the moment? Approyo.
Well, I'm 56 in 2 weeks, so I'm no spring chicken any longer. It'll be interesting. These next 5 years will be very interesting to see how we do with the upgrade and migration cycle. We're considered one of the leaders, and I'm very blessed that people think about us in that way. But at the end of the day, we have to prove ourselves, and we have to make sure that our customers are happy. And I want them to talk about us in those glowing terms. If I see that we're slipping, maybe it's from me. Maybe the top down is slipping. I hope, and I'm going to knock on wood, that companies continue to look at us as a knowledge repository and a leader in the ecosystem. And they want to talk to us. And even if they don't sign up to work with us, talk to us because they want knowledge and they want to grow and they want to get educated. And I hope at the end of the day, my staff is successful, no matter if they're here or if they've taken a position above. My philosophy has always been, I'm going to keep pulling people up the corporate ladder of success. I'm never going to push anybody down. If you want to leave the company because you're going for something better, heck yeah. Here, I'm going to give you a recommendation because you did great stuff for us. It's the reason you're with my company. And I'm never going to sit there and keep pushing people out. It's always going to be positivity. I'm going to have empathy, positivity with my staff, my customers, and our partners.
Sound like a good boss.
Love that. Yeah. Well,
Try.
Chris, we're nearly out of time for today. I would love to ask you a wrap-up question. If you could summarize all of your experience into one philosophy for other people who are just starting out on their journey, what would be the number one thing that has moved the needle on your business?
So the one philosophy I think that is really important for the business, and I kind of touched on it earlier about hiring quality people to work around you with the things that you cannot be, that you're not very good at. But it's also empathy. When a company's system goes down, have empathy for them and jump in. I have been up for 36 and 48 hours because somebody's system got hacked because of the data center company that they were working with got hacked. I've been on phone calls nonstop. I may have been laying on my pillow with my phone next to my head, but I've been up because I know how much they're going through and they're losing $1 million an hour. I've been up with my staff members because of those activities. I've also been up with my staff members hoping that their baby is born because they've been waiting for 2 days for the baby to be born. Have empathy for the people that you work with. Have empathy towards the customer because at the end of the day, that could be you. And make sure that you're giving praise and you're giving support and you're giving love because at the end of the day, we're all humans on this planet. We all want to see each other do better. You should never, ever put somebody down or try to push them down the corporate ladder. Bring them up. And at the end of the day, I think if you're not a happy person, hopefully they will be. And hopefully they'll be as smiling, as bright as you.
Wise words.
I think we can see why you've gotten so far in your career.
Oh, I try. Sir, try.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's been so fantastic to meet you and speak with you.
Yes.
Oh, thank you guys.
CEO, comedian, author. What other ventures have you got around the place?
You know, I love working on cars that don't have computers, so be careful. And maybe drive a car someday soon.
No worries.
Gorgeous.
Have a good one. Thank you very much for your time.
Oh, well, thank you guys. I've enjoyed it. I hope I can come back again sometime and catch up again.
Yes, please.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
To help support our continued mission to provide free, best-in-class advice from the world's most compelling business leaders, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you never miss an episode. See you next Thursday. Thanks for tuning into The Business Game. If you like what you've heard, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn to stay connected. A big thank you to HubSpot for providing an affiliate link for our audience on today's episode. And join us again on the next episode of The Business Game, a podcast that moves the needle.